Hi, I'm Lady Belladonna Laveau, the Arch Priestess of the Aquarian Tabernacle Church and Dean of WiccanSeminary.edu.
And how long have you been in this position?
5 years now. Seems like just yesterday. 5 years now.
And the Aquarian Tabernacle is a long-standing institution.
That's correct. We were founded in 1979 by Pete Pathfinder Davis, who was the archpriest and the force behind the church largely for till 2012, the entire time. So I'm his successor. I'm the fifth archpriestess, but I'm the first person to replace Pete.
And how has that been?
Well, it is just nothing but an honor to face the challenges of leadership at this level. Really and truly. There are blessings and challenges that you cannot imagine. You get to learn so much about so many different kinds of witchcraft and the different kinds of people that are in the craft, and that is both wonderful and terrifying all at the same time. It's a fantastic journey. I have really been strengthened by some of the challenges, but I've really been blessed, and I wouldn't change it for anything.
Now, the Aquarian Tabernacle is an international organization.
That's correct.
How many countries are you in?
We're in Australia, New Zealand, Italy, Scotland, Canada, the United States. We used to be in Mexico, and we used to be in Africa. But we're also in Brazil now. We don't actually have a church there, but we have members that are circling there. And we also have an India.
The established heads of international traditions can be counted on the fingers of the hands, and you'll have fingers left over. So you're in a very interesting position. And what would you say what do you think is the greatest challenge of being in the position of leading an international tradition?
Knowing the changing laws. Really, I'm not. I'm a pirate. I've got it tattooed on my hand. I don't really like to follow rules, otherwise I'd still be Mormon. But being responsible for making sure that everybody stays legal and that they have the tools that they need to be effective in their ministry. Staying on top of that, I find that dry. The fourth degree education involves law and government. And that's can we just play witch? Can we just have magic? Can we just talk about the stars and the fairies? And no, you can't, because it's a business, and you have to keep the church solvent, and you have to make sure that you stay within regulations, and that you can answer the questions when people call you and say, can I marry somebody in this state? How do I incorporate in this state? All of these different things. That would be my biggest challenge. It's an honor to get to be part of such an illustrious group of people who, I've honored and looked up to for so many years as the shapers of our society. So, I still feel new. We've been talking about recently, I'd say I'm the new Arch Priestess, but I've been here for 5 years. And it doesn't seem like 5 years. It seems like just yesterday. But my son's graduating high school, and when we came here, he was an 8th grader. So, yeah, it just goes by like that, because I guess I'm so busy, And another challenge really is, taking time for yourself, because there's always more people to help. And I always have time to help people. find that I don't have enough time for myself, and I have to be like, I'm gonna put you on my calendar, like me and Dusty, and here I'll put my kid on this part of my calendar, and it's like, okay, take time to do yoga and take care of myself every day.
You know what's going to happen. One day you're going to look up and it will have been 20 years. And you'll say, how did that happen?
Right?
Because you're so busy that you don't notice it.
Yeah. Yeah, you just, days go by. And, you're just driving that desk. So, answering emails and teaching. And it's just, I love it, though. I love it. So
the Aquarian Tabernacle does 2 festivals. One of which is the Spring Mysteries Festival, and the other is Hecate Sickle.
Right.
And we've just finished the Spring Mysteries Festival.
Yay! Hallelujah!
And would you like to talk a little bit about those 2 events?
Oh my goodness! Well, Spring Mysteries Festival is my life's work. I've been talking about, or working on, or studying the myths of the chthonic deities since I was 16. And I always said that I was going to do something like this, but I didn't know. When I saw this, I was like, oh my gosh, this, I have to do this. And it's really exciting. It is the pilgrimage. We have recreated the ancient city of Eleusis, and as close to scholarly and modern day gnosis as possible. We have recreated that pilgrimage to Eleusis with the story of Persephone being abducted, and the cycle of the agricultural wheel of the year, and what that means to us spiritually, and how it transforms you, and how the gods deal with challenges and what happens to them, and how your personal story relates to it. I'm obsessed with the story. It never ceases to open new layers and transform my life. And so that is what Spring Mysteries is all about. It's not like the festival where you go and there's some workshops and there's a ritual on Thursday night and there's a ritual on Friday night and there's a ritual on Saturday night. You go through the rituals of Eleusis, and it is a very rigorous schedule, and it has to be on time or everything gets thrown off. So we just operate on time and go through these ancient rituals that are just fantastic, and the gods of Eleusis are there, and you can feel them. You tear in their presence. They're physically there, and it is a fantastic work. I'm very proud of the people that are a part of it, recreating such a recreating that. Recreating such an iconic religious event that goes back 3,000 years. In the modern day, still bringing that energy forward. I think it's very important to today's pagan culture.
Mm-hmm.
And that every pagan on the planet owes it to themselves to go to Spring Mysteries at least once.
I will say I did find it a most remarkable experience.
Thank you. I'm really proud of the work. Well, the ATC is really proud of the work. We always, it's a big deal for us. We feel like it's really important that this ancient pilgrimage that was so important to ancient man be kept alive, that it was stamped out by the patriarchy or whatever, the warring gods or whatever, Don't want to go into that, and then there's Sickle. Hecate Sickle is done in October, where Spring Mysteries is done in Easter, and it is Hecate's festival, and she is all of the faces, she's the many faces of the goddess. So we take that time to explore her many faces. And this year we are exploring the 4th face of the goddess that so many people have been talking about. Lady Elspeth talked about it at St. Louis Pagan Picnic last time I saw you. And they're calling her the Queen. We've bounced around a lot of different words, and somebody came forth with the queen, and people are pretty much like, yeah, that's the one right there. That's the one. And it's the queen is the person who is in charge of her own life, and she's running her own life, and it's really not a gender related thing. It's more like, I'm a mom, maybe not, but I'm not really raising kids. And I'm not old and a crone and retired and baking cookies or sharing the wisdoms that crones share anyway. It's a woman who is an executive in business, or maybe she's a head of the PTA, or maybe she's running her own sewing business out of her own home. Whatever it is, it's that being in your mastery. And it's the fourth face of the goddess, because there's four faces to the goddess. There's the waxing and the full and the waning and the dark. And the dark is like the crone, and the waning is the changing goddess, the menopausal goddess, the one who's going from mother to crone. Because there's like a good decade or two for some women where you're no longer gonna have kids, but you are far from being a crone. And that's the phase. So we're going to explore that, and that is the mysteries of Persephone, because Persephone is the changing goddess, right? So we're going to have all these things about magic and potions and spell casting and divination and those kinds of really witchy arts. We're just going to jump straight off into that witchy stuff. It'll be a fun festival. So we get to do different things at Hecate Sickle, and those are held in October.
If people would like to learn more about those, or they would like to attend them, where would you send them for information?
Springmysteries.com or sickle.me. I like it. It's like Tickle Me Elmo. Sickle.me.
Very cool.
Or you can go to atcwicca.org and get to anywhere. atcwicca.org is the overcatching. You can get to anything from that website.
Now, Pete was the archpriest of the ATC for decades, and you have been archpriestess now for several years. How do you perceive your administration as being different from Pete's?
Oh, that is a fantastic question. I'm so glad you asked that question. Okay, so I am very big into cycles and chakras, and the cycles that we work through, and how our chakras develop over time. And Pete was an Aries, and he was all about starting it up. And he started so many businesses and segments of the church. Like, there's a school, and there's a store, and there's a youth organization, and there's a Green Man Guild, and Kitchen Witches, and a magazine, and a pagan media network. So there's all of these things that Pete started up, and he fought civil rights. He's very much Aries, root chakra, warrior guy. And he was well known, the man with the steel spine. It was Pete's way or the highway. And if Pete said it, it was right. And it was just undeniable. And a lot of people didn't like it, but it was true. But you know, as it is with warriors. But my ministry is in a different time. Pete fought for those civil rights, and now we have them. And I'm all about education. I'm a teacher. Like, the school is my baby. That's how I came into the ATC. Pete was like, I think you should run my school. And I was like, okay. It was a good match. Worked out really well. But my ministry is also about love. So I'm all sacral chakra type energy, where I'm a builder, and I'm the daughter of a builder. We're all about building. I've bought land. We're going to build a big house for people to have dorms, so we can have a physical brick and mortar school. We want to build a Lucis, and it's not far out of our grasp. We've found ways to gain access to fundage to make that happen. And it hasn't happened yet, but there's a definite plan, and it's in works. So, sacral chakra is all about connections and love and nurturing. And so my ministry is more about that, building up our people, providing with the resources that they need. My moon sign's a Taurus, so it's the next one in the zodiac, and the feminine side instead of the sun side. So I look at what I'm going to do is make a lot of connections, make a lot of build us up. I'm a businesswoman, so all of these businesses that Pete started that are sitting around not doing anything, I've, put people in and got them working and massaging them into being viable businesses. And then I imagine the person that comes after me will probably be wheel chakra oriented and probably do a lot of jobs, build up those businesses to where they're actually viable, to where they can employ pagans for a living. These kinds of things. So that's where I see it going.
Very good.
Yeah.
Now, this building that we're sitting in
Mm-hmm.
is the Hecate Shrine. I visited here 13 years ago, I think it is. And it's still very much as it was.
Mm-hmm.
Would you like to talk a little bit about what this is and why it's here?
Yeah, I change a lot of things. My patrons are Aphrodite and Persephone. They're two faces of each other, and so I change a lot of things, but I do not change this place. This is grandmother's house, and it is pretty much the same as it was when Pete was here with us. And this is where we come to have serious conversations with Goddess. Sometimes with each other, but not in the way of, let's sit down and work out differences, as much as let's talk about serious philosophical things that we wouldn't share with just anybody. And this is a place for prayer and reflection and having the mother come and speak to you. It is not used for any other purpose. It sits up here on the hill from the backyard, and then around the back here is the stone circle. And Pete was into menhirs. He liked to stand stones up on their end. I don't know why he would do that, being that he's an Aries and all of that kind of stuff. But big swords sticking up in the yard. They're beautiful. And he had a bunch of benches out there, and they were kind of falling apart, and the circle was so small we took them out. And now the circle's way bigger, and you can really see the personality of the stones. They're fantastic. Very magical. This used to be where they had the hot tub, and I don't know what motivated them to move the hot tub out of here, but the first Arch Priestess painted the relief on the wall and did all the marble. It's very centered around Hecate. There's the triple goddess up there, which I would argue that the fourth face of the mother is the one that you can't see. Then her keys and her torches. And then, of course, we have our elders on the wall as a painting of Pete with the stone circle and the benches in it behind. And then Mother Moss, who was very important to creating the Wollstonstein Theological Seminary, which is our college. Then, of course, the Hecate wheel, that's the symbol of the Mother Church. The wheel of Hecate, it's on our tabards. It's a big target, so you can get a good shot. So we receive all kinds of things for Hecate, and it's stored in here. And we've got her dogs and Pan to keep her company, because Pan is the patron god of our church. She's the patron goddess. There's a lot of memorabilia in here. The relief, the statue, the triple statue. One of those, it was done by Starhawk, and one of the faces is Starhawk. And it turns. And then inside there is, it's a mausoleum, and so it's got Pete's ashes in there. And Mama somebody, I don't know her name. I don't know who she is, but we care for her stuff, and her children come up here and see her. Mama Fussy, there we go. And then Stuart Farrah's ashes are in there. So we take good care of those and keep this place reverent for them. That's why it's not a party place. We don't come in here and have a good time. This is a place of reverence, and it's grandmother's house. This is where serious work is done.
Very cool. Now, before becoming the head of the church, you lived, I believe, in Georgia.
I did.
And now you live in Washington State.
Uh-huh.
How is that transition for you?
That's a funny story. Well, when you come from Georgia, it's the land of sunshine, so it's warm, and there's a lot of sun, and it's hot, and there's a lot of sun, and it's cold, and there's a lot of sun. Sunshine. So when I come up here, I would always get sick when I traveled up here because of the wetness. And I had to make it the land of the mermaids in my mind, because I'm a mermaid. You can tell by my hair. So everything's silver up here, and I would be like, okay, I'm going into mermaid territory so that I could not catch a cold. But I got acclimated to it, and now I absolutely love it. It doesn't rain near as much as I thought it did. And it has been really sunny since I moved up here. We had to be like, okay, I think I might be affecting the weather. You can let it rain. And then it rained from November to right before Spring Mysteries. And it probably rained everywhere except for where we were at in Eleusis, because it hasn't stopped raining since November. And I really thought I was going to hate it. I really, really love the work that's done here, but I was like, oh my goodness, we would never do the ritual. They just act like it's not raining. They just go do ritual in the rain, pouring down rain. I have watched priestesses with almost no clothes on, just a chitin, a thin piece of cotton, stand out in the rain in 40 degrees and just do ritual like there was nothing going on. There are hardy people out here. But I love it. I love it. Cascadia is a little utopian society cradled in between the Olympian and the Cascadian Mountains, and it goes down to Portland and it goes up into Canada, and it's a different way of thinking and different values, different priorities. I really like it. I've gotten used to the weather. It's a lot cooler, but now when I get hot, I'm like, oh my God, it's so hot. Like I'm not used to it. And my Georgian friends come up and they're like, oh God, it's cold and wet. They get sick. And I'm like, oh no. But it's because, every time you come up here, you're running to and fro at festival and not giving yourself a break and things like that. It's easy to get you fly and all that. So, but Stacia, we managed to keep everybody healthy this time, didn't we?
Yes.
That's the important part. Stacia came up for a festival and she was like, oh, it's cold. And I'm like, I have seen cold. This is balmy. It was 50 degrees. That's nice. It's different up here. We just don't mind the water. It evaporates. What are you going to do? I love the culture. And Seattle's full of entertainment because of the culture. There's a lot of talent.
So the ATC does a number of publications, one of which is The Other People.
Yeah, The Other People's fantastic. It's written by Oberon, drawn by you,
Indeed.
Published by Pete, Pathfinder Press, which we had to change to Wicca Press, because in the time that Pathfinder Press was founded, someone else founded a Pathfinder Press that's very, I guess it would be called alt-right. We had to change the name to Wicca Press. But What an awesome publication that is. It has been around as an anti-chick track
Yeah.
for what? When did
I believe it was about
2004?
14. Well, no. What? I want to say it was done in 94, maybe?
94,
Yeah.
not 2004. I was on the
So,
floor.
it's in excess of 20 years.
People still call me and say, I need another 100 of those, because they just walk around and pass them out to people like the Christians do.
That
They
was the
get
idea.
a big kick out of just walking around passing them out. But we take them to festivals and stuff like that, try to get them out there and pass them out to people. And Pete had all these little cute things. He's got a get out of hell free card
Yeah.
that's got the Monopoly guy on it, and it says, it's got a little message about how we don't have hell. We don't try to pressure you into believing what we believe. It's cute. A lot of people really love it, and then you've got like the 2% who are like, I don't go to hell. I don't believe in hell, and don't get the joke. But what are you gonna do, right? Most people love it. We put it on the ribbons for Pantheon, which is a big festival that we go to, and people just, I've been looking for that one, because it's a gag. Pete has also the one about prayer school.
Heathens idolize school prayer.
Heathens idolize school prayer. I don't even know the names of them.
Yeah. And I illustrated that one as well.
Prayer. And they're adorable. It's a Norse guy and his wife, and they're protesting school prayer. But they're not really protesting school prayer. They're saying, on Monday we'll pray to this Norse deity, and on Tuesday we'll pray to Tyr. Monday's Freya. Tuesday's Tyr. Friday's Freya.
Yeah. They're all in there.
Luna. They're all in there. It's great. I'm Greek. I don't really study the Norse gods because I have to do Eleusis 24/7 to know all about all of those many deities. So my study time is full. But yeah, I really like that one. The other people's cute too, because I'm like, yeah, I'm part of those other people. But the school prayer gets you where you live, right? Because what's good for the goose is good for the gander.
Yeah, very true.
Yeah.
And he took that from an editorial in a newspaper that he saw.
Yeah.
And he wrote to the reporter and said, "Could we use this?" And
so he didn't write that one either?
No. But the reporter was, as I recall, very pleased with the idea, and they became good friends.
Aw, that's awesome. The history. Pete was such an amazing man. I trained with him for a decade.
Mm-hmm.
And then became Arch Priestess and lived with him for 2 years. And still, there's just so much to learn. And it's such a privilege to get to hear stories about him from other people, because, he could have told me stories the whole 10 years and I wouldn't have been able to get all of it.
That's
he
true.
did so much.
He was a remarkable person.
He really was.
And a practical person.
That is true. Very practical. Very, how am I going to win this current fight? What will be the thing that will help me overcome this challenge and protect our civil rights, or get this town a fire truck, or whatever it is. He would be very logical about his approach.
I was fortunate to meet him fairly early in life, and I learned a great deal of those particular aspects before I needed them, which is the best time to learn it.
I feel very blessed for having known him and learned some of the lessons that he teaches. He was a good man.
Is there any other point you would like to hit on before we end?
I think we've touched on a lot of really great subjects. It has just been a real honor to get to spend this time with you.
Thank you.
And get to know you. You are a fascinating man yourself. And I really love your ideas and and your approach to things.
Thank you.
The concepts and getting to know you has been a real pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for interviewing me.
And it's been a pleasure to be here.
Thank you.